Yes, but we're actually here behind the numbers. We're behind the numbers. That's where we are.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. What's happening, y'all? Happy Tuesday. Welcome in. Great to have you. Great to be with you. Hope that you had a spectacular Monday afternoon. Hope that everything is just kicking butt, taking names, et cetera, et cetera. I am Rob Brown. What's happening? How do you do? On the other side of the glass, metaphorically, is, of course, as always, Colonel Grudge himself. The great one, Lonzo, is pushing the buttons and switching the switches. Hi, Zoe.
Sources, bro.
Bro.
That's my new thing.
We're going to talk about it on Thursday, so we don't have to get heavy into it right now. But last night's Monday Night Raw was the most entertaining it's been in a while.
It was pretty good.
It was fun.
Yes.
It was fun.
I enjoyed the Kurt Angle.
I also enjoy the angle. I would give $1 to find out what Undertaker said to Bray. Right? Like that was cool.
I did a passing of the torch, possibly. I don't know. From one evil to another. I don't know. Could be.
But I liked it. We'll talk about it Thursday. If I can hold off on talking about it later in the show, we'll see. So we got that. We got NFL stuff to get into on the radio broadcast. So I like my job. I'm a big fan of it. And more importantly, I'm a big fan of having it. Like having this job.
Yeah, I love my house. I wouldn't know where else to go.
Yeah. I like having my job. It's fun.
This is my house, by the way. I don't mean that in a Soraya kind of way.
My house. So I found this interesting, and I meant to talk about it yesterday, but I got busy and I didn't do that. So I was scrolling the socials the other day, and I came across a tweet from the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm sure at this point, most of y'all have seen it as well, right? It said, Dak Prescott gave away the ball twice in the narrow loss to the 49ers, a matchup the Cowboys had a chance to win if they didn't again generate self-inflicted wounds. Now, if I just read that tweet, you would think that that was a tweet that came from, oh, by the way, the tweet accompanied by a sad picture of Dak Prescott sitting on the bench, head down in frustration. If I read you that tweet and asked you where you thought that tweet came from, you would think, I don't know, Rob, maybe it came from Zoe, maybe it came from one of the talking heads on the social that loves to beat up on Dallas. Who knows where it came from, right? Which would be fine and correct. That tweet, ladies and gentlemen, came from the official Twitter account of the Dallas Cowboys. They tweeted that. They tweeted that Dak Prescott gave the ball away twice. They tweeted out that it was a matchup the Cowboys had a chance to win if they didn't again generate self-inflicted wounds. That was their own. So there's one of two things here, which is either A, Lonzo, the source, the sense of ever-growing frustration within Cowboys HQ has gotten just too much to bear. Or B, there was a social media intern who's like, you know what, I hate working here. I hate what you can just not work there anymore.
Or they thought they were bigger than the entity that they represented. And so they thought that they could spout whatever they wanted and it would represent every one of the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe that's what some people's ego, once they get some attention, they think it's all about them and they decide to represent the entire entity of the Dallas Cowboys. I think that person needs to be, unless it's Jerry Jones, which would be hilarious.
JJ ain't using Twitter.
Yeah, unless it's Jerry Jones, they need to be found out. They need to be represented. And maybe next time, if you're going to do that, put your name on it. Maybe.
Hey, Steven. Steven, come over here. Tweet this for me. I don't know how to do a Twitter. Steven, how do I do a tweeter? Can you tweeter? Can you send my tweeter out to the universe, Steven?
Your Jerry's not bad, by the way.
Steven, I need you to send a tweeter for me, and I need you to make it look like I love Dak Prescott, but also I kind of want to kick him in the head, because I do. Steven, can you tweeter that for me? Can you put that right there on your cell phone, please? That tweet coming from JJ via Steven on the Twitter handle is amazing.
I'm writing down the title, using your company social media as your own personal soapbox. It should never be allowed.
I agree, Steven. I agree. But listen, I need you to send this out for me. Send it out there. Make it look like it's all Dak's fault and not my own. Ready for the take that's got me in more trouble the second most trouble of my entire career? I have had two tweets that have gotten me or two takes that have gotten me in trouble over the course of my career. One of those takes is that if I'm at a baseball game and I catch a foul ball or a home run and you send your kid over to me to take it from me, I am sending you back a sad kid that is baseball-less. All right? I will give the ball to a kid, but I'm not giving the ball to a kid that rolls up and starts sticking their grubby little fingers in my face like they deserve the baseball for just existing. You don't. Your kid ain't special. I'm finding the kid that didn't run at me like an angry bull and start putting their Cheeto dust fingers in my face.
There's the thing buried in the middle of it. Your kid ain't special. That's the most controversial part of the entire thing. Telling someone their kid ain't special.
Most kids ain't special. The overwhelming majority
who
of
are you to
special.
Judge other people's kids?
Someone without them. I'm neutral.
Yeah.
I have no dog in the fight. I have no dog in the fight. If your kid puts his grubby little hands in my face, he's not getting the ball. I will find the kid that sits in their seat and doesn't run at me like an animal and give them the ball.
Do all kids have grubby little hands? That would imply that their hands are dirty.
If their hands are in my face, they are grubby.
Okay.
The second hot take that has got me in trouble is I believe in what I refer to as the Davis effect. Now, the Davis effect, ladies and gentlemen, the Davis effect
Al Davis?
Used to be the Al Davis effect. I used to call it the Al Davis effect. The Al Davis effect was theoretically the belief that the Oakland Raiders would not be good again until Al Davis died. Because Al Davis was going to go down into the grave, still calling the shots for the Raiders.
So there's no chance it's the Mac Davis effect. It's hard to be humble when you're such a, the rest.
Well, it was the Al Davis effect. And now that has passed on down to the son, Mark Davis.
Awesome haircut.
I mean,
if I was ever going to get a haircut.
What was that thing? Do you remember the thing, Zoe? There used to be a thing. It was on TV, and I forget what it was called now, but it was effectively like a vacuum hose.
You mean like the suck cut from Wayne's World?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a vacuum
Certainly
hose.
does suck.
And built into the vacuum, inside the vacuum
With
was
blades.
a blade.
Yeah.
And then you would just vacuum up your head so it would cut all your hair to a uniform
So
length.
solves two problems. I mean, you cut your hair and you're sucking up the hair, so you no mess.
I mean, I get, like, in philosophy, I get it, but then you end up looking like, well, people who use that. Mark Davis doing that would be an upgrade. Okay? You know how, I don't know about you, I used to get the jokes when I was a kid about the bowl cut, right? Like your mom would sit the bowl on top of your head, just cut the hair around it. That was the bowl cut.
I literally had
the bowl cut.
Yeah.
Like literally with a bowl.
Yeah, and I squirmed. So there were gaps.
Fair enough. So I think Mark Davis does the bowl cut, but it's one thing to have your madre give you the bowl cut when you're a young'un. It's a whole different thing to give yourself the bowl cut. And it pretty much tells you all you need to know about the Davis family decision making, right? So it used to be the Al Davis effect, which was the belief that the then Oakland Raiders would not be good until Al Davis died. Now it is just the Davis effect, which is the belief that the Raiders will not be good until the Davises don't own the Raiders anymore. Because the bad decision-making is just going to keep rolling in Vegas. I gotta believe that Jerry Jones has succumbed to the Davis effect, right? Because it's just the same thing every year. It's just the same thing every year. To the point that now you got social media interns that got in front of a computer over the weekend and decided to just take a flamethrower to the organization as a whole. And I'm almost willing to bet. Keep in mind, after the game, I will say this. I'm intrigued to see if Dallas, who has not yet gotten into the Sean Payton sweepstakes, does so. And I'm curious about that. Because JJ, after the game was over, got asked if the loss to San Francisco would create an issue for him with head coach Mike McCarthy. And JJ's answer, paraphrased but close, was, nope. It's not going to have any impact on his job status. And you'll notice that he didn't say it's not going to have any impact on him keeping the job. He said on his job status. His job status might have already been hot water when everything started. It might have already been that he was staying no matter what. I don't know. I found that an interesting way to phrase that. Anyway, the Davis effect is real. JJ has succumbed to it. And frankly, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are worth talking about anymore. I don't think the Cowboys are worth talking about anymore because I think you're going to keep getting the same old story, same and song and dance of my friends. Now that's Aerosmith.
Don't look at me like you're telling me. I knew who it was.
I'm looking at you because I don't have anything else to look at.
Okay. Wow. Thanks, Rob.
Anyway, I piggyback this onto the story we had yesterday. Why is it that now and I guess I'm not almost, I am guilty of this now. I opened the show with one of the sports television networks on. When I opened my show, they opened their show. They spent the first 13 minutes of the show talking about the Dallas Cowboys. They went to a break. Down at the bottom of the screen, they have a little coming up next on the show bar. After 13 and a half minutes of Dallas Cowboy talk, you know what the coming up on the show bar says next? Should the Cowboys change coaches? So you're about to get a half an hour on a nationally broadcast television show talking Dallas.
Well, Rob, we are in America, and in America, you've got to talk about America's team. That's what the people want, right? You got to give the people what they want. Threw my arms up, and somebody got it.
Give the people what they want. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a moment, since Lonzo's got the jokes, I've got some audio from Tom Brady. Lonzo is going to tee off on Tom Brady for this audio. I, of course, will then defend him for this audio. And yes, it's going to be hilarious.
Sources, bro.
Stick around. Sources say that's on the other side of the break. I'm Rob Brown. He's the great Lonzo. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You are listening to the Fan Upstate. James said a salad bowl shouldn't be a hair cutting accessory.
You know, there's the other angle that maybe that hair ain't real, and he chose that.
That would be a hell of a toupee choice.
I mean, he chose the cut, but he'd have to choose the toupee too. I mean, he's trying to save money. Well, Kevin, not to come down to your level, but I definitely couldn't pick it because according to two hosts on the show, one on this show or on the station, one on this show, and the other one, they've never picked their nose, which, you know, I just don't believe. Mention the Lakers. The Lakers have won a championship more recently than Dallas has, though. It's like 2 years ago or something like that. Also, Kevin, you can exhale through your nose without excreting anything, I believe. I could be wrong. By the way, if you post pictures of yourself busting your TV, you're an idiot. You just are. I mean, yes, TVs are cheaper than they've ever been, or they were until recently. I don't get it. I don't get it. I've got enough TVs, but if you want to break yours, I mean, give me your TV. I'll find somebody who would actually like it. Have you been that mad at your sports team that you just punched a TV? Yeah, I agree, James. I think they're all work. Because you know why? There always happens to be someone just standing there with their phone filming it at the exact moment. I guess maybe you think you see it coming. All right, I think he might do it. I think he might do it. Yeah, it's definitely, it's all a work.
Brother.
People who bust their TVs, it's all a work when they get mad because the camera angles, everything that just happens to be perfect behind the person, and like they were anticipating. I bet they get mad enough to bust their TV. I think I'll just start filming it.
I know some people with genuine anger issues.
I've talked about this before. I beat my buddy at Madden. He picked up his Nintendo, threw it against the wall. It busted in more pieces than I thought was possible. Cut part of my face. I've seen genuine anger before. By the way, I got up and said, well, I guess we're done, and just walked out, and we're still best friends. It's just, but he always had that anger problem. So I guess in today's world, since this happened like, I don't know, 25 years ago, should I have had my phone ready just in, even though it was my fault he broke it, because there's it's the Reitzel grin. that caused it.
I know it. I've
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand on somebody else and not looking in the mirror. The worst part is when your own child looks at you with that grin and it's like,
oh, crap.
Yeah. No, I don't believe it for a second, Kevin. It's all the work. I'm gonna get me some views today. I'm gonna punch my TV. Daggone.
Let's get this Brady audio real quick.
What if I don't want to play it?
Then you're gonna make me.
I quit.
You're gonna make me say it. You'll like it because it's gonna give you a crack to tee off on how bad of a person Tom Brady is.
I don't think there's anything that I've ever heard Tom Brady say that I went, you know what, I like it. Just the sound of his voice just annoys me. So
I thought you liked competitors.
He exudes arrogance. He's dripping with it.
Kind of easy to do that when you're the best at the thing you do.
Yeah, according to some people. Joe Montana is the best quarterback of all time.
Joe Montana was a quarterback, you idiot. All right. Tom Brady was doing his own podcast, and Tom Brady has a co-host on the podcast who facilitates the conversation for Tom Brady, which is the best way to do a podcast, right? You show up. Somebody else has done all the prep work. You just show up and be you. Must be nice.
Sounds like a great setup. I wish I could do that.
I'm telling you. So, Tom Brady on said podcast was hit with the only question that anybody wants an answer to from Tom Brady. I appreciate your asking.
Wow, that wasn't set up ahead of time.
Of course it was. Like I said, he shows up.
There is no better, and I've thought this for a while, no better co-host for Tom Brady than Jim Gray. I mean, those guys, I don't know who's more arrogant. That's a competition right there.
Tom Brady got asked, what are you doing next year? Tom said, if I knew what I was going to bleeping do, I would have already bleeping done it. Jim Gray then says, I sense you're antagonized by the question. To which Brady says, you're scratching, but I appreciate the question and I appreciate you asking it. You know, I very frequently when I appreciate someone asking me a question, my response is, if I bleeping knew, I would bleeping have done it already.
Sounds like conversations that we have in the office every single day.
Hey, Rob, what are you doing on the show tomorrow? If I bleeping knew, I would have bleeping do it already. Fair enough. Let me start by saying this answer doesn't bother me as much as it seems to bother people on the social media.
By the way, it doesn't bother me either because obviously it was all planned. I mean, it's not natural at all. You've heard him when he's really angry. It's just watch me go Quentin Tarantino on my podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lon Everything's a Work Zoe is in the building.
So Rob, that wasn't set up. Come on.
I think Tom Brady probably knew that this question was coming because it's the only thing anybody's asking Tom Brady.
And
right
it's
now.
His podcast. he's doing this to make fun of all the people who are going to ask him this question.
I don't think so.
This is a troll job, without a doubt. He is trolling every other reporter out there who's going to ask this question, and he's letting them know the kind of response that they might get, so the ones who are fearful will not ask him the
I
question.
probably agree
This
with
is
that.
this is Belichickian in every way.
I kind of agree with that. I think Tom Brady is making the answer to that very bleeping clear. By the way, did you like the edit beeps that I used there?
I was wondering who did that. If
That was me. That was me for you.
Those are nice.
I
Wait. I get it. Those were goats.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
You can play it again if you want to.
No.
So Tom Brady is doing a couple things here. Number one, I agree with Lonzo. He is making the answer undisputedly clear. There is no doubt what Brady's answer is to that question. So the next time Brady's in public or in front of a microphone, he is trying to kill off the question, are you back next year? Because there is absolutely zero doubt what his answer is right now. If I knew what I was going to bleeping do, I would bleeping do it already. But I also think there's some element of frustration for Brady, right? And I don't know this for a fact because I don't know Brady. And I wouldn't claim to know what Brady is or isn't doing, thinking, or saying because I haven't talked to him. Here's what I'll say. I would not be shocked to learn that Tom Brady is exceptionally frustrated right now.
Hey, bro, my sources say that Tom doesn't know what he's going to do.
Basically.
Come at me. You can't prove I don't have those sources.
I don't think Tom knows what Tom is going to do. I think Tom is looking right now at what went wrong this season. I think Tom has to evaluate if he would like to come back to Tampa with everything that went wrong there. I think Tom is going to be courted by a number of other NFL teams, the Raiders, the Panthers, maybe the 49ers, who knows?
All right, at what point did Tom Brady reach a level where he can respond this way and where people care so much about whether he's coming back? At what point did this happen?
All right, you do not have to agree that Tom Brady is the GOAT, right? You don't have to agree with that. You do have to agree with Tom Brady is a remarkably compelling character for the NFL. Because even if you hate him,
compelling. That's a good word. I mean,
compelling is a word.
You need a good heel. You do. You need a good heel.
You can think he's a heel. You can think he's a face. You can hate him. You can love him. Tom Brady is a compelling character for the NFL and therefore is a compelling character for everybody who covers the NFL, which makes Tom Brady's decision about whether to come back or not compelling.
All right. Any other quarterback, let's say Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers being drug under the mud because I don't even know how. I guess that's possible if you pull someone hard enough and have a downward. Anyway, so Aaron Rodgers getting torched for not saying what he's doing next year, but with Tom Brady, it's okay. So who decides this guy can't do this, but this guy can?
For a few reasons. We would be being intellectually dishonest to say that Aaron Rodgers, let's say, beliefs have not garnered him some heel heat over the years. Okay. You may agree with everything Rodgers has to say.
And you would
disagree.
Say the same thing about Tom Brady.
Sure. 100%. 100%. The difference would be, I think,
that the media loves Tom Brady and they don't like Aaron Rodgers.
No. So I had this conversation about a very famous celebrity who was in Greenville this past weekend.
Who's an awesome dude, and I loved him as Star-Lord. Cannot wait for the Mario movie. I actually may go see that because he's in it.
So if you haven't figured it out, Chris Pratt was in town this weekend. Now,
The best Chris.
I have been a Chris Pratt fan for many, many years. I am a big Parks and Rec guy. Andy Dwyer was my favorite character on that show. I am in the minority in this. I have very much enjoyed Chris Pratt's Jurassic Park movies. I think he's been very good in them. They were fun little monster flicks and nothing more. Chris Pratt has done and said some things in his life that if my friends did or said, I would say we need to have a conversation, including abandoning multiple pets throughout his life. Elderly pets. Now, that's a personal thing. Some people don't care.
This is reaching.
Some people don't.
I'm gonna find a reason to not like someone.
Abandoning an elderly pet is a crap thing to do.
Yeah, I've never heard this before. So
I'm aware now. That's because that's the point I'm driving at.
I'm gonna have to check my sources because they're usually pretty accurate and they haven't told me this.
Feel free, it's well documented. All right. He's been called out for it and admitted it. Now, here's the point that I'm making.
Is there anyone down the center that has said that? Or is it just more leaning towards one side or the other? Because politics comes into play with Chris Pratt. And there's some people who don't like him because of that.
No. Again, let me be abundantly clear. If any of my friends abandoned an elderly pet, I would have words with them. I don't care if we are of the same political persuasion, religious belief. If you abandon an elderly pet because you just don't want to deal with the consequences of having one.
What if it was an elephant and you were leading it to the graveyard, which is where they go?
Do you
stay there till the end?
Stop it.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Stop it.
I loved Tarzan as a kid.
Here's the point that I'm making. Chris Pratt has a set of political beliefs that a lot of people align with and a lot of people don't. But Chris Pratt has not made them the forefront of who he is, right? You don't see Chris Pratt out there parading beliefs around, especially ones that are scientifically inaccurate.
Look at that. Aaron Rodgers suddenly is on my trending.
Shocking. Big Brother's listening. So, Aaron Rodgers is the opposite. Aaron Rodgers is constantly talking about how he's smarter than you are, right? And it's created some heel heat.
Yeah, I don't know anyone like that who talks about being smarter.
Tom Brady has a particular set of political beliefs. But
I got to say, I have no idea which way he leans. You know what? I don't care.
And that's the point.
Because he doesn't, as far as I've seen, doesn't make it a thing for him.
Correct. And that's the point. Tom Brady very much lines up with I'll just leave it there. He lines up with a certain set of beliefs. There's no need to get into it, what they are. He lines up with a certain set of beliefs. He has a certain set of friends. But Tom Brady, unlike Aaron Rodgers, has never made that a part of the identity of NFL quarterback Tom Brady. He does not bring it up and parade it out there. And therefore, Brady's politics have never been a defining feature of who he is as a quarterback. So that's never been a factor that he's had to deal with. It is for Aaron Rodgers of his own volition, of his own choice, right? So I think with Brady being a compelling figure, because you either love him because you like a winner, or you dislike him because you think that he's a cheater and a fraud and an egomaniac, wherever you fall in that, he is compelling nonetheless. Compelling doesn't mean positive or negative. It just means you are compelled to follow the story. I am compelled to change the channel anytime he comes on. So if you want to call that compelling, you're right. Maybe so. But again, I'd also argue you're in the minority on that. So no, I'm not. Well, yeah, you are in the minority. I probably am. I'm definitely in the minority in the vocal department. So with that being said, because you might get that X next to your name if you're on the air and you don't like Tom Brady. The man's out to get you. Brady as a character is compelling, and therefore people want to know if he's going to come back. The other situation that's in play here is the belief, not knowledge, but belief that Tom Brady will not be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer next year. Now, if he's going to come back and play next year, and it's not going to be as a Buccaneer, where Tom Brady does decide to play his question mark final year in the NFL becomes a linchpin for the rest of the National Football League, right? There are teams that might very well be working on making moves right now, but are sitting tight because they'd like to know, A, is Brady coming back for another year? B, is he coming back for another year as a Buccaneer? And C, if not coming back for another year as a Buccaneer, is he open to signing with Team X? And if he is, does that mean they could bring in a Sean Payton? Does that mean they could bring in an offensive mind? What head coach would pair? Brady's, I don't want to say lack of decision because that makes it sound negative. Brady is under no obligation to answer to you or me or any NFL GMs.
He's taking offers. That's what he's doing. I mean, and I don't blame him. As
Maybe
a business person, you sit back, you take offers. You wait for people to call you because you have reached a certain status and you are in demand and people are going to call you and you see which aligns with what you think is what you want to do as far as winning championships. And then you make that decision.
Or, hear me out on this, he's not being disingenuous and he genuinely doesn't know what he wants to do next.
You could still be taking a bunch of offers and still not know what you want to do.
He may not be committed to playing, but is still willing to listen to offers to play. He may be waiting on Tampa to call him and go, hey, Tom, here's what we decided we're going to do, right? If Tampa says, hey, we're going to fire Todd Bowles and we're going to go with an offensive-minded head coach next year, maybe Brady wants to ride it back one more time in Tampa, right? Who knows? There's a lot going on. But the hilarious part of all of this to me, to circle back around to the beginning of the conversation, the hilarious part about all of this to me is the number of folks that are very angry that when asked, Tom, what are you doing next year? He said the F word twice. If I knew what I was going to bleeping do, I would bleeping do it already.
Wow.
The question is,
Tom Brady has a potty mouth. Who knew? That's the least shocking part about the whole thing.
It should, because Tom Brady's a grown-up. And who cares if he says an F word, right?
Well,
Doesn't bother me at all.
We don't need to get into this argument. But anyway,
well,
our perspectives on this are much, much different.
I don't disagree. You and I fall on different sides of a spectrum when it comes to the use of language. I don't care in the least. I dropped an F-bomb in front of Lonzo earlier, not because I refrained to the best of my ability.
But it wasn't me that caused him to be angry
Correct.
enough to do it. I
Correct.
want everyone to know that.
I restrict my language out of respect to Lonzo when around Lonzo in the building. Now, if we're out in public and Lonzo comes into a bar with me, Lonzo's in my world now, and bad words will be used.
Yeah, because that's going to happen.
Right. You went to Hall of Fame with me one time. Granted, it was for a work function.
And they serve food.
Correct.
Yes.
But the point is, in this building,
and it's not just bar food. It's actually it's pretty good food.
Out of respect for my coworkers, I don't use the language until something came up that aggravated the crap out of me this morning.
Worker. Yeah, it's just
right.
It's just me. I'm apparently the only one.
Well, no, Captain America, because I was well, correct. I know the dudes on the other side of the hall use that language. Therefore, I'm not worried about am I offending or disrespecting them.
I got to point out that anytime I've been over there, I don't really hear them talk that way.
Right, because again, I think people refrain from using it out of respect to our elder statesmen.
Is that what it is?
That's
or maybe
it
it's a professional environment.
Maybe, but again, no. That's why we work here. All of that being said, I don't care what language Brady used. I don't care what words he chose. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The reason we are talking about Tom Brady is because Tom Brady's decision to play or not to play for Tampa or not to play for Tampa, to play and to play for somebody else or not, is one of a couple of linchpins that the NFL is waiting to go into place to then make the next round of decisions, right? You'll notice we've had a lot of interviews for head coaching positions right now. A lot of interviews for head coaching positions. And no hirings. No hiring in Arizona, no hiring in Denver, no hiring in Carolina, no hiring in Houston. Why not? The answer is because there are a couple of factors that we are still waiting to see where they end up at, because the decisions will be made based on those variables, those factors. And Brady, whether you like him or hate him, is arguably the biggest linchpin left standing.
By the way, quick aside, if you are a robot in Union County, quit calling.
While we're on this, let me get that audio from Gronk, if you don't mind. Clip 2A, please, here, Zoe. Gronk this weekend was on the NFL on Fox pregame show with JJ and the gang, and Gronk got asked about Brady. He and Brady are still very close. Here's what Rob Gronkowski had to say about the future of one Tom Brady. So Gronk says Brady's going to be wherever he's most excited about playing football. Gronk says Brady's going to play wherever it is that gets him juice to play. And I think that might be one more part of the reason why he is not making a decision, and more importantly, why teams aren't making decisions yet. Because if this is correct, that Brady is just looking for the place where he looks and he goes, that's my squad. That's where I want to go out. That's where I want to ride into the sunset. The best way to make sure that somebody is excited about their position is to do what? Give them as much control over that position as possible. If Brady gets to call his shot with head coach, if he gets to call his shot with receivers, if he gets to call his shot with O-linemen, if he gets to create the atmosphere in which he is playing, then he is going to be much more excited about being there. And if that is his prerogative, then you want to do everything you can within your reasonable power to give him the opportunity to create the situation that gets him gassed about being there. And before you go, wait a minute, Rob, he is going to be 46 years old when next season kicks off. Why would you do that? The answer is because at 46, Tom Brady is still one of the best 8 quarterbacks in the league. And I'm saying 8, having to stretch it to get there, right? And when I say 8, I am not just talking about for this season. I am talking about, I'm also including the long-term growth factor of these other quarterbacks, right? I'll put a guy like Josh Allen out ahead of him because Josh Allen can keep working on a team for another 10 years. Patrick Mahomes got another 5, 6, 7 seasons at his level at least. Those guys can go ahead of Brady. You taking Brady or Derek Carr long-term? Derek Carr's 31 years old. You might get 5, 6 more years out of him. Maybe.
But there is no long-term for Brady.
I agree with you. But that is also the reason that I think whatever team goes with him has got to recognize you got 2 things going. Number 1, you got a 1-year window with Tom Brady. And number 2, you are utilizing what Tom Brady brings to the team to set up the run in 2024. That's why I've continued to argue the Panthers are perfect for Tom Brady. For exactly what Gronk just said. I can workshop the Panthers roster to get Brady excited and build that roster around Brady so that when he's gone, I can just plug the next guy in 2024, regardless of who that guy ends up being. All right, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. Text us, 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them live on the air. What are your thoughts on Brady? Is he playing us? Is this all shenanigans? Are you excited about the possibility of him in Charlotte? I've seen a lot of national writers who all of a sudden are starting to come around on why Carolina would actually make sense. Gosh, if only they listened to me on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
By the way, Kevin, that's not how you spell gluttony. Also, I'd just like to point out, I used to weigh 400 pounds. I lost 200 pounds of fat. Have I put some weight back on? Yes, I have. But you know one thing?
No, you will put some of the weight back.
Yeah, no, I said some weight. Okay. Do you know what I can do? Because I know how. I can lose the weight. But I also have a condition that they cannot figure out what it is, the experts, with my stomach. And the only way to stop the pain that I am constantly in is to eat food. But thank you for bringing that up. And I am in the process of losing weight. I've already lost 12 pounds in the last week or so. I would raspberry into the microphone, but I don't think I can do that and nose whistle at the same time. And also, I'm not mad. I'm just, just talking. And Hudson, about the Niners, I'd rather have Garoppolo. I don't believe cursing is listed as a sin. There's only one curse that you're not supposed to do, and that's take the Lord's name in vain. The other stuff is, for me, if you ain't allowed to say it on the air, then you shouldn't be saying it in the office or in the building. That's all. Because if you reach a comfort level with certain words, then suddenly you forget, oh crap, I'm on the air. I shouldn't have said that.
I don't know. I've never intentionally cussed in the air.
Right.
I do now pronounce it ship.
So if you make it a policy to not do that, I'm just talking about radio people who spend time on the air. Downstairs, they can do whatever they want. But if you at some point are going to be in front of a microphone, if you get really comfortable in the building you're in saying certain words, you might slip.
Unless you're a professional.
Yeah, even professionals slip. I haven't worked with anyone I haven't dumped yet.
Right, but you didn't dump me because I slipped instead of cuss word.
You did.
No.
You just pointed out the curse word, and then we went back and listened, and you could.
Correct.
Yes.
But the word was ship.
But that's not the word that you said. So anyway. No, I haven't, Kevin, because I know how it's going to sound, but I don't need to be like everybody else. I'm a rebel by not cursing. I'm different because I'm not like everybody else. That's the whole point of being different. Now, back in probably like the 50s or 40s or something, it was reversed. I wish Brady was a curse word. Then I'd never say it.
GetRefunds.com/sports. That's GetRefunds.com/sports. I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered that.
I will call people idiots, Kevin. I'll let you know that. Especially every idiot who thinks they need to come out of this Lowe's parking lot and try to go across Garlington. If you purposefully do that, you're stupid. And I don't care if you get mad at me. I've seen so many accidents right there. And then you got people sitting in line trying to get across the red light, which is already a pain in the butt, going, oh, go ahead. Hey, you go ahead. You go ahead. No, there ain't no go ahead. There's a light right over there. They could have went to the light. You let them sit there and wait for 25 minutes like you're trying to make me wait. I liked it better when that was a dirt field. We didn't have to worry about
It was
that.
a dirt field?
Yes.
Really?
Back behind us where Lowe's and stuff is, that was nothing but woods. Where the homeless had some homes, like, which makes them not homeless, but you know what I mean. Shacks, lean-tos. I agree, James. The entire area is stupid. Thought you weren't body shaming. If you're throwing hangry out there, then that's kind of body shaming, isn't it?
All right, wrapping up the first hour of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate, 844-326-3663. That's the phone number. Text to 71307. The Floby. That's what it was called. The Floby. That was the vacuum tube with a razor inside. You see things advertised and you don't believe they're real because you've never actually seen them in the as seen on TV store at the mall or something. I saw that and I'm like, that came out after the Wayne's World thing. And I'm just like, okay, they're just messing with it. I'm pretty sure that the Wayne's World thing came out first. Now, listen, I didn't need Floby showing up in my Google history, but I'm going to.
You think that would work on your beard?
The patent for the Floby
I'm just curious.
Was granted in 1987. The product began being marketed in 1988. It was created by Rick E. Huntz, and he started selling them with live demonstrations at a county fair.
All right, so Wayne's World came out in 92, so it's possible that they got their inspiration from. Had you heard of it before Wayne's World, though?
Well,
I had never seen it before that.
I was a year old when it dropped, so
okay.
No.
All right, so let me help you there. No, I had never heard of it before that, and then afterwards, it suddenly started showing up.
So there you go. You'll learn something new today. The Floby, ladies and gentlemen. The Floby. All right. 844-326-3663. Text us 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN. F-A-N, we'll read them on the air. Took my man Buckeye Mike showing up with the Floby knowledge. Respect that. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. Coming up in hour number 2 of the show, I do have some more NFL sound that we are going to get to. But social media and athletes. You know, I think social media, for all of the doomscape that it can frequently be, I really do think social media is a good thing, right? I think it's done more good than harm. I think it's done a lot of harm, but I think it's done a lot more good. But I'm going to go ahead and make a plea to all players, all athletes, that they just get a guy or get a gal to help them organize their social media thoughts. Stephon Diggs decided after his, shall we say, reactions before, during, and after the Buffalo game this past weekend, has decided to take to Twitter to defend himself. And it doesn't look good. We'll talk about that. We'll get into some Clemson basketball coming up in the second hour of the show. Historic season for the Tigers. So what's holding them back from vaulting up the national rankings? I'll give you that answer and more when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Quit asking me questions, Chris, that have to do with time. I have no concept. I don't remember. So everything's going to be a guess.
Hello, Christopher. Nope, you're good.
Thought he asked if you could read. Could you
No.
read? Can you read or
You know how to read,
anything?
Bob?
Or anything?
I mean, I know
Yeah.
you like black holes, but
Yes.
um,
Do you use imaginary words like imaginary numbers? What is your question?
Bandersnatch.
Imaginary numbers are real and imaginary.
Actually, they're the opposite of real. They're distinct from real numbers. Anyway, sorry. Diesel complained yesterday of extra chapters being generated in Rock because of live reads. And I seem to remember you having said something about that previously.
All right. I can talk to Diesel. The best way to do this, and it's not because of live reads, it's the promos and the liners. And if you look at how I go through my solution, it took a couple times to figure this out because corporate can't take them off of there. So anything in PR or IM are going to show up as beginnings of chapters. So what I do is I move them all to the end of the break.
Okay.
And so, like, if you look here, promos are all moved to the end of the break. That's how I can go through my chapters, and there's no tag on it. They took off what I put on there in the first place. Anyway, they will also erase my stuff sometimes.
Okay.
But that's why you don't see all that on my chapters. It is not not pleasing to management because they don't like. They want promos and liners to be in a specific spot.
Yes.
But this is my workaround.
Okay.
And
Diesel,
it works.
Great. I'm glad to hear that because that
Oh, why is he contacting you about it? That's a
actually what he did first is exactly what he should have done. He opened a ticket. And then once he got to the end of the conversation with the corporate support, he forwarded the solution to us. What's interesting is that
the solution is probably something very complicated.
well, yes, and that's kind of why we're trying to figure it out. But the point is that
My solution works, by the way.
I like hearing that, mostly because your solution has nothing to do with their solution.
It takes some effort by the producer.
It is
Yes.
well, not just that. It completely disagrees with their description of the issue.
Of course it does. Yeah.
So what they say is that whenever the set mode, whenever it changes from auto to manual, that's what marks a new chapter.
It's not true.
That's what digital was saying.
Yeah, it's not true. But it's not true.
Okay.
I mean, I got proof. I mean, my chapters, I moved that stuff after trying a couple different things.
Yeah.
That was my final solution, and it has worked. And you can go back through, and every once in a while you may find one where I screwed up and didn't move the promo or the liner, and then a chapter was started.
Their argument is because what we train producers to do is to how long do you have until you get back on? Like,
I'm
30 seconds.
mathing as we speak. By the way, QC Connects in the next break, which will be surrounded by stop sets and will not cause a chapter to start.
Okay. That's their description. And what we train producers to do is when there's a live read, copy that set mode so that the stack will stop.
Right.
Their analysis says that when you copy that set mode and it switches from auto to manual, that's what triggers a new chapter.
It's another one of those things where they write it out and say this is how this is supposed to work, but they don't really look at it in real world applications.
Okay.
And again, I can prove that my way works because Mark and I were having this discussion because corporate's coming down on him for us having this problem, and he asked me to come up with a solution. This is the solution I came up with, and it works.
I mean, again, I'm not disagreeing with you in that regard.
I'm
trying to understand.
I will talk
I don't need you to talk to Diesel.
I would say I'll talk to Greg about it,
No,
I will tell him the best solution would be some effort on his
I
part.
don't need you to talk to Diesel. What I need you to do is describe your experience to corporate.
Okay, we'll talk about
Because
it
we need to
later.
Find a different solution.
We'll talk about it later
Okay.
because then they're going to tell me
What I
not
wanna
to do
is
it.
Find a
just to-
solution that doesn't involve you. That puts these promos back where they're supposed to be. When is this live read happening? What time?
Around
I want to
20ish.
come in and watch,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
I don't mind. And you're an engineer. You can go wherever you want. You got that power.
Our numero to the Rob Brown show goes right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown, the great Alonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass this morning. If you'd like to be a part of the radio broadcast, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Can also text us.
I don't know.
Outstanding timing.
I think that counts as one because I realize you're afflicted. We both understand this affliction.
Still working on it.
But your tactical pushing of the cough button was off by a millisecond or so.
I blew it. Text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. If you'd like to go in that direction, or tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, or at Lonzo Onward, at Lonzo Onward. Either way, you're getting in on the broadcast today. All right. So Stephon Diggs is a very talented football player. Stephon Diggs.
I'm gonna do it every time. I just
that's fine. You've got Kyler's pouty lips and Stephon throwing up the hands like WT bleeps.
You got to do it in your quarterback's face though when you do it though. You absolutely do, or it's just not to say.
So Stephon Diggs.
So when a coworker does something that you don't like, just jump up in their face and just start throwing your arms up in the air. I'm gonna do that later.
Respect it. Stephon Diggs was very unhappy with the direction of the Buffalo Bills offense in their L to Joey B and the Bengals this weekend. After the game was over, a game in which, as has been mentioned, Stephon Diggs got into Josh Allen's face, was throwing his hands in the air in a WT bleep manner. When the game ended, Stephon Diggs made his way to the locker room, got dressed, cleared out his locker, and bailed before the coaches even got back into the locker room to give their post-game breakdown. Which I think the majority of us would refer to as not a great move. Immature at the least.
Or I think you could also look at it this way. I'm not saying that this is exactly what happens. If you know you're so angry and you're so upset and you're so hurt that you may say something you shouldn't say, maybe the best thing to do is to just walk away. And obviously he's doing this live in front of millions of people watching this. So he's not a happy person. Probably the best move for him was to not be around the things that were making him unhappy.
There have been spots. Where I have had a blow up with, a partner or family or whatever. And I will have to say, hey, I need some space, my guy. I need a second. I'm going to go catch my breath. I'm going to go catch some fresh air. I'm going to cool. And then I'll come back and we'll talk about it. And I get that. But that is when it is me and another person. When it's me and another person, and you have that moment, it's one thing.
I get what you're saying, but if you watch him on the sidelines, it was him and another person. It was him and Josh Allen. He was in Josh Allen's face. He was getting mad at his quarterback. So I think it is more a personal thing than it is a team thing.
It might be. But even still,
I mean, you could tell kind of what he was saying. Dude, I'm open. Why are you not throwing me the ball? And, you know, a receiver acting that way is so unlike any other receiver ever in the history of mankind.
and by the way, those receivers also took their crap, right? T.O., they all took their crap as well. Now, let me give you what set this off for me. There were 3 tweets that Stephon Diggs sent out yesterday. He sent these 3 tweets out. The first one said, "Want me to be okay with losing? Nah." The second tweet, "Want me to be okay with our level of play when it's not up to the standard? Nah." The third tweet, "It's easy to criticize my reaction more than the result." Those were the 3 tweets he sent out. Now, I don't, if you follow me on Twitter, I don't ordinarily respond to athletes, right? Because I'm a nobody. I am irrelevant on their scale. So I don't usually respond because nothing's going to come of it, right?
Wait. So you don't expect to get, you know, responses from big name celebrities or coaches or players?
No.
Because you think that you're on that. Okay.
I'm a nobody.
All right.
All right. And I understand I'm a nobody.
I appreciate how humble you are. I think that every day.
I'm as humble as I am handsome.
At the night before I go to sleep, I just think, Rob is so humble. Why can't I be that?
I am the humblest. I don't ordinarily respond to athletes, but in this case, I did. And I kind of had to. Let me give you all my responses. Let me tell you what I think. Then I'm curious as to your reaction and how you would feel if a guy on your team did what Stephon did. Got into the QB's face, acted up on the sideline, went to the locker room, and bailed before the coaches got it. Now, let's say theoretically he was upset with Josh Allen. He felt like he wasn't getting the ball when he was open. And that's fine. What I don't love is the tweet, "Want me to be okay with losing?" No, Stephon. Nobody asked you to be okay with losing. Nobody asked you to walk up to the post-game presser and go, "We tried our best, you guys." In fact, I don't think I can recall an NFL player doing that. Being upset about the L is fine. You should be. Hell, I got audio from Trevor Lawrence coming up later on in the show where he even says, "We are not happy with the way that this season ended, but we're coming back." What I am saying, Stephon, is that the teams that win the Super Bowl are usually very talented, very well coached, and cohesive. They're a team. They are well gelled. They have good chemistry, et cetera, et cetera. Walking out of the locker, listen, it is one thing to go in the locker room, be mad at Josh Allen. And if that is the problem.
He does not deserve to. Not after.
Well, it turns out he did say, you believe him or don't believe him at your discretion, but he did say that he has a shoulder injury that changed his mechanics in that game. That's what threw him off. And frankly, after watching that game again, I kind of believe him. He did not look comfortable throwing the ball like he has in the past.
Yeah, and someone in Philadelphia had a shoulder problem too, and man, they looked good the other day.
Again,
we all deal with pain differently.
Sure.
And then there's a guy in Kansas City who was hopping around on one foot and throwing dimes.
I get it. That's why I said take it with whatever grain of salt you'd like. If Stephon Diggs has a problem with Josh Allen, I'm good with that. I understand that. I can even accept that.
Would you rather him go, "That's my quarterback"?
No. I'm saying if you have a problem with Josh Allen to the point that you don't want to talk to anybody, just don't talk to Josh Allen. But to bail on the squad, to bail on the other 51 who had helmets and shoulder pads on like you did.
Have you ever been so mad at someone you want to punch them in the face?
Yeah, all the time.
Sorry. But so when that happens, you can stick around, especially your level. Most people know their level, that I am this mad, I'm going to do something that's really going to be a problem. Maybe I need to walk away from the situation.
I have had, as I mentioned to start this segment, many times in my life where I've been angry and gone, I'm going to go cool my jets. I'm going to go catch some fresh air, take a deep breath, count to 5, eat some Doritos, and then I'll be back.
Yeah, Doritos is a calming food. If you are in a team sport, are you allowed to be an individual when you're encouraged to be an individual within the team? And then when you actually are an individual, you get overly criticized.
I think there is a difference between being an individual versus being an individual on a team, right? I have had situations at work before where a coworker has infuriated me, done something that I think is disrespectful, bad, whatever the case might be, whatever you want to call it, and infuriated me to the point that I couldn't even talk to that coworker about it because I was so mad. I knew whatever I was going to say wouldn't go great. However, if the manager said everybody in the boardroom at 12:30, I wouldn't go, nah, and get in my car and leave. That's being a bad teammate.
We have a nice boardroom, by the way.
We have a great boardroom.
We've got a couple of them, actually.
If the manager called us together and said, all right, guys, things aren't going great. Everybody sit. Let's hash it out. Let's figure out what's gone wrong so that when we run it back, we don't do the same dumb thing again, like the Dallas Cowboys. Then I would sit in that boardroom. And even if I was furious with the guy sitting 2 seats down from me, I would still show up to the team meeting so that we could figure it out. I would not get in my car and leave and then just go, the product's not up to standard right now. Well, dude, the only way to get the product up to standard, Stefan, and I get that you were still in the heat of the moment because your season was over. There is no retcon for the 2022 season. There's no fixing it. There's no going back 88 in the DeLorean to get another crack at it. But you will likely be a member of this football team next year. So will Josh Allen. So will Sean McDermott. So will most of the guys on that roster. And you guys are going to start the year as one of the top 4 or 5 teams in Vegas predicted to win the Super Bowl. And the only way to make sure that the product does get, quote, up to the standard, end quote, the only way to make sure that next year you don't have to be, quote, okay with losing, end quote, is to act like a team. Being an individual is fine. I love celebrations. The NFL's rules against celebrations are one of my least favorite things in the league. I absolutely love teams going into the end zone and acting a fool together. It's a game. It's supposed to be fun. I got no problem with individualism. Individualism is important. Hell, to some degree, this country's foundation is individualism. But I think we all recognize that a team only works if everybody on it is committed to its success. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Stefan's a hell of a player. He's a hell of a receiver. I would argue, as have a handful of NFL eggheads, that the Buffalo Bills' primary concern this offseason is more talent around Josh Allen because they just don't have it. It is Stefon Diggs in the wide receiver position right now. They need this guy, and he straight up, flat out walked out on his team and then hit the tweet with, oh, those of you mad at me for walking think I should be okay with losing. No. We're not okay with you being okay with losing. What we're saying is, if you're not okay with losing, getting in your car, throwing a temper tantrum, and going home doesn't help anything, Stefan.
I hope that he learns from this experience to not believe the hype. You know, the hype was that Buffalo was going to win everything. And then the shock when you find out you just got your butt handed to you by another team in the driving snow where you're supposed to thrive. Then you go back and you get on social media, and don't be shocked when that same media that's pumped you up for all this time turns on you, because they were never your friend in the first place. Should he have left? No, he should have stuck around, unless it's a situation, like I said, where he was mad enough that he was going to do something that would get him in trouble. But his behavior is not really that unusual coming out of the receiver position. It's just not. There's too many documented cases of other guys having this kind of attitude.
That may or may not be part of it, right? That may or may not be part of it. Yes, I think the Bills believed that they were a Super Bowl caliber team. And frankly, I don't think they had any reason not to believe
Have you ever
that.
been hyped up to a point where everyone's telling you, oh man, you got this, you got this. You go out and you just fall flat on your face and you're like, why did I believe them?
Yeah. I've also had situations where I've been hyped up and I knew I was capable of the thing. And then I went out there and I either didn't give my best effort or I just didn't play or perform at my best, and it blew the opportunity.
And
That's part of sports.
sometimes the hype is real and sometimes it's manufactured. In this case, the team of destiny, it just didn't happen. You know what? There's only going to be one winner. And that's how it is every single year.
I think that, as you mentioned, first and foremost, only one team wins the Super Bowl every year. There are 31 teams that are at home disappointed. None of the players on those teams are okay with losing either. All right. The players on the Houston Texans are not happy with the performance of the Houston Texans. It's just, that's what they're capable of with the management and leadership they have in place. What I'm saying,
so they shouldn't have the attitude, I play for Houston, what'd you expect?
No, they shouldn't. And I don't think, I mean, there may be one or two that do, and if they show it, they'll get roasted too. Stefan may have been mad because he believed the Buffalo Bills were a Super Bowl team who did not accomplish what they set out to accomplish. And that's fine. Nobody's got an issue with that. Nobody is upset that you are upset. What Buffalo fans are rightly upset about, Stefan, is not that you're not okay with losing or that you are okay with losing. They're upset about the fact that you are supposed to be a leader of this football team, that you are supposed to be a part of the reason for the success, and the minute adversity overcame you, instead of being a good player, getting in the locker room, getting with the coaches, breaking down what went wrong, talking about the season, figuring it out, and getting on the same page, you threw a temper tantrum, you got in your car, and you left. That's what people are upset about. It's easy to criticize my reaction more than the result. No, Stefan. We are criticizing both. We are criticizing the result of the game for Buffalo, although I do think with some degree it's an insult to Cincinnati to do so.
Or maybe he's being the hero here. He's taking all the attention off of the team. No one's going, okay, why didn't Josh Allen perform? Why didn't this perform? Everyone is looking at maybe he's being heroic.
Yes, the Dark Knight approach.
Exactly.
I'm going to run. You're going to set the dogs on me because that's what this city needs. That's what Orchard Park needs. That's what Buffalo needs. I'm Batman.
Way to go, Stefan. You're the hero we need.
But not the hero we deserve. Stefan, stay in the locker room. Be a good teammate. Because I got news for you. The Bills are going to be expected to win the Super Bowl next year, too. And if you're not down with that, that's crossing over.
Are you going to say you're fired? That's what I'm waiting for.
All right.
Because you definitely went from Batman to McMahon, which
Yeah.
I didn't think was possible, but I guess it kind of is.
I'm Batman. Stefan, no one's criticizing your reaction more than the result. They're criticizing the reaction and the results. But see, here's the thing. Losing football games happens in football. Great teams lose. Good teams lose all the time. Bad teams lose more often than they don't. All but one team are going to end their season on an L. No one's criticizing the L for being an L. They're criticizing aspects of the performance. But that is different than criticizing your reaction, which was petulant, immature, and frankly unacceptable. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, got a live read. Stay right there. We will be right back. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen.
All you gentlemen out there, we are here to talk to you about some wonderful sports. And you gentlemen, you know who we talking to. You're welcome.
Thanks. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated put out an interesting editorial yesterday. The editorial states that the National Football League may be involved in very early, very preliminary discussions about moving the AFC and NFC championship games to neutral site locations, taking them away from the teams that are the highest remaining seed in the playoffs.
So they're going to just eliminate the bye altogether then? Because what's the point of being a number one seed if you...
And that's the discussion. The AFC championship game could have been played this weekend in Atlanta, Georgia. And the NFL looked at that, looked at the sales of tickets. And as the NFL always does, said, ooh, revenue. I don't know why they said it like knockoff Scooby-Doo, but that's what they said.
I thought you were going Yoda at first, but there was no reverse of words. So, yeah.
Money you will get. So the league approved a resolution to amend the AFC playoff picture due to the Damar Hamlin game that, had it been Bills Chiefs, would have moved that game to the ATL.
Luckily now I don't have to buy a shirt, so we're good.
Albert Breer put up an article, an editorial on Sports Illustrated, where he said that he thinks it is now a potential that the NFL would do away with NFC and AFC championship games being played at the home of the highest remaining seed and instead play them at a neutral site location.
So a neutral site, like let's say the Wembley Stadium or Mexico City or someplace like that.
Or the NFC championship game being played in an AFC stadium, the AFC championship game being played in an NFC stadium.
That's kind of counterproductive. I mean, I guess that's true neutrality if it exists. If you people are strictly AFC and people are strictly NFC,
which literally no one is, right? Have any of you ever got into the Super Bowl ready to root for AFC or NFC superiority? No, it's never happened. All right. The reason they would do this, according to Albert Breer, he makes a couple of points. First off, he said, if you play it at a neutral site location, what can you do that the college football playoffs have already done? You can slap naming rights on it. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up this Sunday at 3:30, it is the Doritos AFC Championship game. Coming up this Sunday at 7:30, it is the Chick-fil-A NFC Championship game. You can't really slap naming rights on them when they're being played as home games for a team because the teams control those games, not the NFL. But if the NFL moves them to neutral site locations, now the NFL can grow the revenue by hooking sponsors.
Wait. So you're saying this is all about money?
Shock.
Come on.
Second point that Breer makes is that this would open up cities that have domed stadiums, but that aren't really cities considered for the Super Bowl. Detroit, Minneapolis, Indianapolis, all of these are cities that have domed stadiums, but they're not cities that are considered attractive as Super Bowl destinations because it's cold as bleep in February.
But they've done that before. And
they did a cold weather Super Bowl in Minneapolis. and literally no one enjoyed it outside of the game itself.
Right.
Keep in mind that as much as it's about the game for us as fans, for the NFL, there are 5 days of celebrations and festivals and corporate sponsored events that bring in mucho dinero. Well, if you do it in New Orleans or Miami or LA or Dallas, where in February it is 70 and sunny, those corporate events are going to bring in mucho dinero. If you do it in Minneapolis, where it's minus 17 degrees outside, turns out people aren't putting travel dollars down to go to the Twin Cities in February. It's just not happening. You do it with the championship games where the corporate stuff won't be quite as big. And now teams or cities like Detroit, Minneapolis, Indianapolis, they, Lonzo, will start bidding for these games, right? The NFL doesn't take bids for Super Bowls. They take pitches. What are you going to do to make this Super Bowl in your city special? But they could have cities, if they decided to, alongside the NFL team, actually invest in having an AFC or NFC championship game played in their stadium, even if they don't have a Super Bowl quality new stadium. Breer said the third point is that the NFL would take over the control and sales of suites and tickets. As it is now for the championship games, teams generally sell their season ticket holders and suite holders, and then teams are responsible for dispensing the remainder of those tickets. If the game is being held at neutral site locations, right? If the NFC championship game is held in Kansas City, the Chiefs would not be in charge of ticket sales, suites, and corporate sponsors. The NFL would be, which means the money comes in for that. It's like the Super Bowl itself. One of my biggest problems with the Super Bowl is that the atmosphere is never quite what it should be. I'm an NFL guy, sure, but I can argue and will argue that college football's national championship game has a better environment around the game, the atmosphere, not the game, but the atmosphere around it, than the Super Bowl. Why? Because the majority of the fans at the Super Bowl are not there because they're big fans of the AFC or NFC champions. They are there because, hey, I'm at a Super Bowl and I got a corporate ticket, or I shelled out $2,500 to be at this social occasion.
So it sounds like you're saying rich people don't know how to be true fans.
I'm saying rich people know how to be true fans, but only 2 teams make it to the Super Bowl.
That's very true. But when you price things a certain way, then you are looking for a certain level of clientele, and that's who you're going to get.
Well, you don't. I mean, let me phrase that. The NFL could absolutely price the Super Bowl at a $70 ticket if they wanted to, but they don't, because at the end of the day, like just about everything else, the NFL's prices are dictated by supply and demand, right? Every season, every single NFL season, we get a call for the show that says, hey, Rob, I'm kind of upset. I got 2 kids. I want to take my family to an NFL game, but I can't shell out $800 to do it. And my response is the NFL does not give a good gosh darn if it is your butt or your kid's butt or your wife's butt in the seat. They just care that there is a butt in the seat. There is only one Super Bowl that happens every year. People want to be at and experience that Super Bowl. They can only fit, depending on the stadium, 70 to 100,000 people. There are how many millions of NFL fans across the country? So if the Super Bowl was in Atlanta next year and you and I had the chance to go and the Chiefs and Saints weren't playing, do you think you and I would still go to the Super Bowl?
If we could, yes,
You're
absolutely.
damn right we would. To say we were at the Super Bowl, you're damn right we would. So the supply and demand drives the cost of the tickets up. And part of the reason that the supply is limited is because the NFL gives so many of those tickets to corporate sponsors who put $1 million or a couple mil into the NFL's coffers in return for a package of tickets to the Super Bowl, right? So they want to do that, if Albert Breer is correct. They want to do that with the AFC and NFC championship games as well. Breer says, quote, "The pieces are in place to make this happen. The NFL already controls the conference title games. Teams run the wild card and divisional rounds. So where Park Avenue is generally allowed for the teams to be true to their suite holders and season ticket holders, it can pretty easily pull back on that if the owners see fit. Additionally, going through the Bills Chiefs scenario the past few weeks gave them a sort of dry run to find potential issues. Are there some? Sure, there are plenty. But there's also money to be made. And when that's the case, with the owners involved, we all know how that movie usually ends," end quote. Joey B popped on the stream. He said, so the reward for being the best team in your conference over 17 games would be one home playoff game. Yeah, that is correct. Not just one home playoff game, but one home playoff game, and then you've got to go on the road for the most important playoff game, the playoff game that determines who gets the ticket punch to the dance. Now, the AFC Championship game this weekend is going to be played in Kansas City, Missouri. That,
The home of the AFC Championship game for 5 years running.
correct, is going to be played in Kansas City, Missouri. And as Trevor Lawrence learned this past weekend, Kansas City, Missouri has a very unique home field advantage in the NFL. The NFC Championship game is going to be held in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As the New York Giants were already well aware, but certainly learned this weekend, Philadelphia has, shall we say, aggressive fans that provide a very unique home field advantage. With a few exceptions, every city provides a unique home field advantage that your team gets to learn to be comfortable playing in front of, gets to adapt to, and provides them with a brief advantage playing at home. I understand that the bye is important. But if you ask me right now, would I rather have a bye or would I rather have home field in an NFC or AFC championship game should my team advance there? Even though I have to win one more game to get there, I would rather play at home in the game that determines who goes to the dance. I would rather be sleeping in my own bed, playing in front of my fans, having the PA guy bump the music that my team asked them to for whatever reason, than to have a bye, play one home game, and then have to go on the road for the biggest game of the year. The game that determines if I'm playing for all the marbles the 2 weeks later or not. I understand that the NFL is a business. I am very much the first one. Every time we get a phone call that goes, Rob, the NFL's too expensive. Rob, why is the NFL doing this? Rob, they're pricing me out of being a fan. Go, it's fine. Their revenue continues to grow every year. Their revenue continues to grow. And as long as their revenue continues to grow, they don't care if you, Bob from Union, South Carolina, can afford to go to an Atlanta game or not. I cannot wait to bring the lady friend down to New Orleans to experience her first New Orleans Saints game. But you had better believe when I have looked at prices in the past, I have looked at the price of Saints tickets and been like, damn, that's not cheap. It's not cheap like it used to be before we won the Super Bowl. Hey, Atlanta. They don't care as long as the revenue keeps growing. And the revenue keeps growing. Do they care that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs were the best team in the AFC this year? And that playing in Arrowhead creates a very unique, very interesting on-screen atmosphere and environment around the game that makes me want to watch it more? No, because you know what Rob Brown can't do? Rob Brown can't go, hey, NFL, this is Rob from the Robacola family. Yeah, I'd like to give you $2 million in return for 100 tickets to the NFC Championship game. I can't do that. So who is more valuable here? Rob Brown, Saints fan from Greenville, South Carolina, who would love to see the Saints' next NFC Championship game, LO freaking L, played in New Orleans in front of their rowdy friends. Or Rob Brown, CEO of the Robacola family, who's willing to scratch a check for $2 mil, $3 mil, $5 mil to get 100 tickets to a Saints neutral site game, which are available because the Saints aren't in charge of the sale of those tickets. The NFL is. You and I both know why this conversation's being had. And frankly, it, what's the word? Sucks. When we come back, we gave you a story last week that I told you I thought was the beginning of the biggest, most impactful story in college football since NIL became legal. Over the weekend, we got a new development on that story. I'll tell you what it is and how I think it impacts college football when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
ZipRecruiter. It's powerful technology.
All right, dudes and dudettes, we're back. Sorry about that.
To apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Streaming only on Peacock. From the mind of Brian Johnson, the writer-director of Knives Out.
Miss Kale, got this gift. Always on the food.
I don't know something is wrong.
The Raw last night drew the highest domestic gate in the history of the show,
Wow.
which meant tickets were expensive.
Well, it looks like a pretty big venue too for
They said like
Raw.
17,000, which is for Raw big.
Well, when they show the crowd up to the rafters,
Mhm.
it looked like a bigger venue.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan of Stay, Rob and Lonzo and you. Be a part of the show, 844-326-3663. I was going to bring up the Jaden Rashada story here. That's the kid from Florida who had the offer of a $9 million, allegedly, had an offer of a $9 million NIL deal at Miami, issued that to attend the University of Florida, where he was allegedly offered a $14 million or $13 million NIL deal. That deal fell through, but it was after he had signed his national letter of intent. He then asked for his release. We have a development in that story, but I will save it to open up the next hour with because, well, I got about 5 minutes here tops, and I think we're going to have a little bit more to say during that segment. So instead, I will say this. Got reported yesterday that David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers had completed their interview with former New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton. That interview was done, as far as I've been able to find out, virtually via a Zoom call. And what I find very interesting about this, Lonzo, is that other than that the interview happened, we've heard nothing else, right? With a lot of these interviews when they come out, we get details. We get, they were on the phone for X hours and Y minutes. They talked about this, that, and the other. The potential head coach mentioned these potential names as coordinators. The owner said that he required this from the prospective head coach, et cetera, et cetera. We got nothing out of this.
Or you could look at what was pointed out on the internet. So my sources tell me that Sean Payton was wearing a blue tie. It's over.
You want to know hilarious?
It's
that
over.
You say that?
Oh, I saw a lot of people posting his tie is blue.
What is hilarious about that is that this past weekend, Sean Payton was on the Fox on NFL pregame show and was dressed in a blue tie and orangish loafers under a blue suit. And the Broncos fans just toe it up. Oh, he's a Bronco. He's wearing blue and orange. He's coming mile high, baby.
His latest tie is it's got a Carolina blue tint to it. And is he just trolling with his ties?
It would not shock me.
I would respect that. I would think
not
that's
shock me.
hilarious.
Now, that being said, the interview has been conducted with Tep, with the Panthers. It was conducted virtually. And that is literally all the information that we've gotten so far. That's it. We have not gotten length of interview. We have not gotten names mentioned as a potential coordinator fit. We have not gotten, they talked about this quarterback or that quarterback or what system he would run or anything else. We have gotten no other information.
Yeah, but is he the only virtual interview?
No. I believe they have done a couple of others virtually. And listen, I don't really read into the interview was done virtually versus in person because
Well,
let's be honest, as
you
somebody who
don't
uses the
care.
Zoom,
You don't care enough to pay for them to come in. Obviously, you're not serious about their services.
I get the read, but I also think, especially with a guy like Peyton, who is interviewed for 3 other teams at this point and is also doing a TV show on the weekends. These dudes are not going to fly from LA to Charlotte for a 1 or 2 hour interview to turn around and fly right back and get ready for TV when Zoom's right there.
So you want to know the
It is
link?
the coach version of this meeting could have been an email.
The length of the interview was about 5 minutes. There was cordial, hey, how you doing? How you doing? And then there was, hey, you've got this job if you want it. Just have your people call our people and we'll work out the details.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Listen,
I think some interviews are going to be shorter than others. It's all about what is your direction? How do you think things are going to go? Oh yeah, by the way, we know you won a Super Bowl, and that everybody wants you right now.
Yeah. But again, I the interesting thing, we can sit here and hypothesize.
You know what we will do? We will elaborate greatly on the views from Mint Street.
Yes,
Podcast coming up.
New episode getting recorded right after this show is over and dropping sometime this evening. It basically comes down to, it is very interesting to me. We can hypothesize all we wish about why they did it this way or what got said or how it got said and what was the body. None of that matters. What is interesting to me, most interesting to me, is that the interview has happened, and the Panthers have been exceptionally tight-lipped about it, which means likely a couple of things. Number one, the less you hear, the less people that know about it, right? I have nothing to suggest this, but my speculation here is that this interview was likely done between Fitzy, Tep, and Sean Payton and nobody else. Why would it be done that way? Who knows? Maybe they discuss numbers. Maybe they discuss strategy. Maybe they discuss term limits. Maybe they just ask Sean, hey, man, are you even in, right? Are you even interested, or are we wasting our time? Who knows? But the fact that nothing has been said when so many other coaching interviews have deets released within a few hours of them happening, I find very, very, very interesting. Let's take a break. Got a handful of texts that have come in. We will address 71307. Phone lines open for you as well at 844-326-3663. We're back after this on The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate.
Here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil. What are you going to do? Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you can get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with auto pay and excellent credit. Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money at a much lower rate. Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Here on the show. 7.9% APR to 23.99% APR includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Most rate requires conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Sean Ezel entered the mortgage business in 2001 after leaving the Marines. He felt that local veterans and people in the upstate weren't getting the service they deserved when it came to buying a home. That's why he started Palmetto State Home Mortgage. For over 21 years, Sean's philosophy was and still is to say yes when others say no. They specialize in FHA, USDA, conventional loans, and 100% financing.
Yeah, the interview with Kellen Moore is interesting. I will use the word interesting for exactly the reason you think I'm using the word interesting.
to use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. It is a busy week for Sean Payton. He met with the Panthers yesterday. Still to come, a second interview with the Broncos for their head coaching job and a first meeting with the Cardinals. Arizona reportedly bringing back Cowboys DC Dan Quinn for a second interview. Giant OC Mike Kafka will meet the Texans for a second time. Panthers speaking today with Dallas OC Kellen Moore. And as we just discussed, the Pats expected to bring back Bill O'Brien as offensive coordinator. Giannis was back after missing 5. Chris Middleton played for the first time since mid-December. And the Bucks.
You're funny, Kevin. I was doing math. If you think me doing math makes me look bored, it's actually the opposite of it. There's a lot of simple math in radio, especially when clocks are timed out to the top of the hour.
Hey, it's Amy Lawrence. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Just ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
Friday,
Yes.
for the last 30 minutes of the show, NASCAR driver Corey LaJoy will be in studio with us.
Okay.
So if you would like to ask some fun NASCAR questions from a not NASCAR fan perspective, please feel free to come up with them.
I don't think I'll get nervous with a NASCAR driver in here.
Success story. Starting in 1932 as a family-owned butcher shop, today they're a leading distributor of superior all-American steaks delivered right to your door, free for the grill and your taste buds. When it came to their website, an average site wouldn't do. They chose AmericanEagle.com to take their website to the next level. With a dramatic increase in competition and a softening market demand, they had 2 challenges: improve their brand presence and message and produce a positive return. AmericanEagle.com got to work and executed usability studies and detailed audits of site experience, digital assets, and marketing. The results: an integrated digital marketing and customer experience plan, organic traffic increase of 20%, and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great
I wonder if we're going to see that rule come into play, the Ross Chastain rule. And if not, how many guys are going to start trying that?
Wow. So I just learned something else. So apparently NW6 also messes up the chapters. Or I missed a promo. Interesting.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, with you on a Tuesday morning. And a pretty one outside, too. I mean, it's not spring yet, but it's nice out.
You know what'll ruin the day for you? Look at how that person's parked.
No, I shan't. Couple of pieces of news and notes coming up for you. Number one, I did get an email from the football SID at the University of South Carolina. He is currently working on scheduling an interview with Shane Beamer for us here on the show. We will hopefully be able to announce a date and time for you by the end of the week. I will also tell you
wait. So you reached out to an entity like a possible guest and asked them to come on the program.
Did. And I will tell you that as of right now, we are working on doing a stream interview with Shane Beamer. We are actually working on getting Shane on the stream with us. Hopefully sooner rather than later, I will be able to give you the time and date that he will be joining us here on the broadcast. Second thing that you need to know about is that coming up on Friday from 11:30 until the end of the radio broadcast, we are going to have Corey LaJoy, NASCAR driver on the NASCAR Sprint Cup, who will be joining us. We will be talking with him as he will be in town. Saturday evening is the Greenville Swamp Rabbits NASCAR night. Nice little crossover night there. We'll have a couple of drivers in, but Corey LaJoy is going to be coming in studio on Friday to sit in and just goof off and have some fun with us. If you got any questions for active NASCAR driver Corey LaJoy, go ahead and get them ready for Friday from 11:30 until the end of the show. And then after that is over, we will actually do a video interview with Corey where we can fit in some more conversation and have a little bit more fun, including Zoe. I am wondering, and I'm leaning into this.
Oh, you're going with a stereotype here. I'm guessing.
No.
Okay.
So.
All right.
I mean, about myself. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do I bring in the Xbox and challenge Corey LaJoy to a virtual NASCAR race on the Xbox?
Oh, absolutely. You need to do that. So I was thinking you were going to ask him wrestling questions, and I was going to say,
no, we'll do that too.
Yeah.
We'll do that too. No, I think that for the video segment, after the show comes to its conclusion, we'll have about 30 more minutes with Corey to do some video work. I am wondering, do I bring in the Xbox?
You don't need to bring one in because there's one in there.
Yeah, 360. I got the.
No.
There's a one in there?
There's a one in there, yes.
Do I set up the Xbox in here on the big screen?
Because I will allow you to, and even help you to use said Xbox. You just need to bring another controller.
I like it.
Yes, not only is there one in there, but you have access to it, and you can put your profile on there.
Here's the thing. If I do challenge Corey LaJoy to an Xbox race, my question then becomes, do I bring in the steering wheel and gas pedal setup and give my, do I get the I'm not an active NASCAR driver advantage of getting the wheel and pedals, or do I go controller v controller?
You need to take whatever advantage you can, because you're probably going to
get absolutely rocked.
You're gonna enjoy the wall, I'm guessing.
Oh, listen, if I get the chance, I will Ross Chastain him without a doubt. I will plant that thing squarely on the wall and just rip it.
Yeah, you wouldn't want me to play because that's what I'm doing. I know I can't win the race, but I can take as many people out as I possibly can.
I can't win, but I can make sure you can't either. That's respectable.
Of course, I'm not talking about in real life. I'm talking about a video game. So, yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to this story. Real quick, Texter said, wasn't Sean Payton's original Panthers interview supposed to occur in New York City and didn't get canceled because of the death of the Charlotte FC player? That is correct. It was slated to be last Friday. Anton Walks passed away in that boating accident down in Florida, the member of Charlotte FC. They did a celebration of life for him in Charlotte on Friday, and David Tepper delayed the interview with Sean Payton in order to attend that celebration of life, which I don't have an issue with at all. And then that obviously led to the virtual interview that took place yesterday. Texture says, I have a solution to the NFL's dollar bills. I am jumping ship since David Tepper is forcing me out. I'm a free agent fan that will pick up San Francisco and just watch and enjoy. That's from Cocky for a Reason. I'm going to tell you this. I get a lot of Panthers fans that feel like Tep is making it easy to walk from being a Carolina fan. Hold on for one more day. Hold on for one more day, yay. And things may go your way, yay. Just hang in there. Because I suspect this offseason may be a shot in the arm.
You had Wilson Phillips on your bingo card. Congratulations.
That's a banger of a song, dude.
Didn't say it wasn't.
We played that song once. You know what it is? It is the Paradise City for women born in the mid-'80s. That's what it is. And it's a banger. It's an absolute banger. All right, so let's get to this other story I wanted to get into. Jaden Rashada, we told you his alleged story last week, and that story went that he was signed or verbally committed to play for the University of Miami. And a part of the reason why was a $9 million NIL deal that he was offered. Then there was a signing ceremony for Jaden Rashada to put his name down with the Miami Hurricanes, and he didn't do that. And instead surprised everybody a month later when he inked on the paper for the Gators of Florida, signed the NLI, the letter of intent. Then, after signing the NLI, it came out that he was offered by the Gator Collective, an NIL collective in Gainesville, Florida, a deal in the range of $14 million in NIL money to come down to the swamp. After he signed the national letter of intent, the NIL funding went away. And Jaden Rashada was left on the hook as a Gator, committed, but with no NIL money. So Jaden Rashada, as anybody who just lost $9 or $13 million would do, was not happy about that.
Let's hope he wasn't desperate and in trouble because he already started spending money.
Good call. So what did he do? I think what a lot of us would have done. He called Gainesville. He called the University of Florida, and he said, yo, hold up. Wait a minute. Can I get out of this thing? Will you release me from my national letter of intent? Will you let me out? I was supposed to get 14M. 13M, whatever that number was. I was supposed to get 13M. I sacrificed 9M to get it. Can I get up out of this thing and go get that paper? I don't want to be a Gator unless that 14 mil price tag is attached to it. On Friday of last week, quite literally, Lonzo, you'll remember, minutes after we went off of the radio, the University of Florida released Jaden Rashada from his national letter of intent. They said, you know what? If you don't want to be here, we don't want you here. You're gone. You're out. So he got let go. This is really interesting to me, and it's interesting to me because I wonder, and Lonzo pointed this out last Friday when we talked about it, or Thursday when we talked about it, whatever day it was. Lonzo said, what kind of precedent, with a C, does this set? What kind of precedent does this set? Because you've got to wonder now. A 5-star quarterback who we now know the market isn't $13 million. If Miami's offer was good, a 5-star quarterback is now valued at about $9 million. If a 5-star quarterback signs on the dotted line for the University of X, and then the recruit's daddy gets a phone call a day or two later that says, hey, Mr. 5-star recruit's dad, I know that your quarterback has already signed on the dotted line for the University of X, but over here at the University of Y, we have made some phone calls. We can scratch a check for $8 million, $2 million a year for a 4-year NIL deal if your son comes to play for us. And let's say that he's only got $1 million or $2 million on the line at the University of X. Could the quarterback call University of X and go, hey, I would like to be released from my national letter of intent. I would like to be released. Now that Jaden Rashada has been released, my next question would be, will the next school this happens to, because it will happen again, will the next school that it happens to feel compelled to make that release? Now, it's going to be school by school, coach by coach, AD by AD, prez by prez, right? For me, if I'm the coach, if I'm the AD at the University of Florida, I'd have released the kid the day he asked me to. Yeah, man, you don't want to be here? Get gone. I wish you the best in your future endeavors. And if we line up against you in a couple of years, we're going to bring a little extra blitz action, right? But I also know that there are some of y'all that would not act that way. We'll go, nope. You signed the NLI. You are going to live up to at least the 1 year, and then you can transfer back to Miami. Even if you don't play, you're going to be here. I'm intrigued to see if another school will feel inclined to follow the precedent now set by the University of Florida. And remember, a part of the reason that I suspect the University of Florida let this kid out of his national letter of intent was because there was the threat of a lawsuit, litigation that got laid down. There was the report that Jaden Rashada's family might very well sue the Gator Collective, which would do, I think, 2 things. Number one, I suspect, though, that it would end the Gator Collective, which I do not know this for a fact, but if they were talking about a $13 million deal, I have to work under the assumption they're probably the largest NIL collective and therefore the most beneficial NIL collective to the university.
I think their best move is to sue them, because if not, especially if this was like a duping situation where they said they had the money, but they never did, just to get him to sign his letter thinking he couldn't get out of it. This also could set a trend where these so-called collectives get together, decide a player they want to come to their school, offer them a certain amount of money, and then say they don't have it afterwards, after they sign their letter. This is from the beginning. This is one of the slippery slopes, if you will, that I was concerned about.
I would be interested to see, and I don't think we ever will. I would be interested to see what the interaction between the university and the Gator Collective is now, right?
It's basically, hey, we're going to pay you $13 million, psych.
Yeah. Well, so the impression that I'm getting,
Or in wrestling when they sign that contract and they don't read it and then they
Right.
find there's a stipulation at the end.
my suspicion, based on what I've read about this story, because there was another part to this where a multimillionaire Florida booster sent out a tweet the night before Jaden Rashada's announcement. Tomorrow will be a great day, Gator fans. The following day, less than 5 hours before Rashada publicly announced his flip, he tweeted, all good, just a little longer, etc., etc. The Gator Collective, unaffiliated with the University of Florida, is going to, I assume, have a very tough conversation to be had with the University of Florida at this point, because they made them look dumb, right? And you got to wonder what this does for recruiting, right? Like if you're Florida and you had a kid sign a deal or have a deal offered for 13 mil only for it to be yanked after he signed the national letter of intent. If you are a 5-star, say, running back looking at UF as your destination, and an NIL collective calls you and goes, hey, we got 2 mil a year for 4 if you sign with us, you're probably going, yeah, let me see that money. Let me see that contract. Let me see a binding contract, and I will sign it with you before I sign with the university, right? Going to make Florida's job a little more difficult. So I'm interested to see what that would be. So that's the first impact. The second impact is now the threat of litigation on the table, right? For every athlete who signs their NLI before they get their NIL. This is now shown that the threat of litigation can allow players to feel like they can bully around the university a little bit. And as much as I have said, Liberab the woke warrior, power to the players, power to the labor, power to those who produce the product, not those who host it. At the same time, you have also heard me many times say that the partnership between players and the university needs to be a two-way street. It needs to be a partnership that goes both directions. The players, and this is what I have taught every player I've coached since I started as a coach, I want you to be individuals. I want you to be unique. I want you to be special. I want you to matter. But the team itself is only as successful as the players who contribute the least. And all of you will have more success and get more money if the team is good. There is more on the table if the team is good than if the team is bad. So I need you to buy in. I need you to be part of this team, and I need you to utilize the team for the resources it provides you to go out there and be unique and successful as well. The lawsuit kind of tilts that discussion in favor of the players a little bit. Now, the universities have been so in control for so long that doesn't really offend me all that much. We're just leveling up the playing field a little bit. But I am intrigued to see what the long-term impact on college football is going to be moving forward. This situation, after Florida released Jaden Rashada from his NLI, his letter of intent, I think has the, I'm not saying I guarantee it, but I think has the potential to have a very, very, very long-term impact on college football as a whole. Like I said, this is something that high-caliber players are watching. This is something that NIL collectives are watching, right? Because I will say this. I don't think the Gator Collective or the Garnet and Black Trust or Tiger Roar or any of the NIL collectives that have been established over the past couple of years, I don't think any of them have any intention to harm the university at all, right? They all want the football team to be successful. if they didn't want the university and the football team to be successful, they wouldn't be doing things to get better players there. But that doesn't mean their actions can't be harmful or won't be harmful. And I think in this case, the actions of the Gator Collective were actively harmful. And that's a big problem. So I think this story, long-term, has the potential to have a massive impact on college football because the players now see the power they have and have added a new tool to the toolkit, that is the threat of litigation, which I think, capitalized, bold, italicized, underlined, I think was the number one reason that Florida decided to go ahead and let Jaden Rashada walk. Because while the litigation would have been against the Gator Collective, there is every bit the chance that the University of Florida could have been named a co-defendant. Hey, all this could have gone away, Florida, if you'd have just let him out of the NLI that he signed while under the illusion that this other entity would be compensating him fairly for signing in the first place. And what would have been more valuable to the University of Florida? A 5-star recruit who didn't want to be there, or the impact of about $13 million of litigation, which the school could have possibly been on the hook for at the end of the day? Take your best guess. Let's take a break. Got a few more things that I want to get to when we come back, including your reaction to this story. Text lines are open, 71307, 71307, or call us 844-326-3663. What do you think will be the ultimate fallout result of this Jaden Rashada University of Florida story? I'll get your reaction when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Chance for rain late, increasing clouds and near 39. Wednesday, the chance for rain showers coming high 52 degrees. Thursday, mostly sunny and high 51. And meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 44.
Apparently, the Panthers have been selected as one of the teams to host the game in Germany this year.
Okay. He did know.
Well, there's more holes in that tweet than Swiss cheese. Number one, if he's never listened to the station, how does he know it's second rate for JV? Number two, everything we said was completely and totally sourced and accurate. It still is sourced and accurate. If you're a Gamecock fan, what would be a bigger red flag? If Beamer wanted Garrett Riley or was interested and denied it, or never picked up the phone to call him at all? I think you know the answer to that. I thought Shane Beamer acted like a baby, and shame on him for not even taking the time to make sure he was going after the right people. He went after the entire station. Grow up, Shane. I'm Mark Ryan. All sides with Mark Ryan.
Wow. Oh, so many things I could say right now. You know what? I'm going to say it. Yeah, he thought the station said it because you use the station account and then put your name on it. It's ridiculous. You don't represent me. You showed him, though. Way to go.
Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Panthers have completed their in-person interview with Kellen Moore.
Hopefully it wasn't that much of an interview.
Inflation is ridiculous. Everything from gas prices, food, and vacations. At My Affordable Braces, we have and will continue to offer braces starting at just $39.95. With new technology, you will need fewer visits than ever. Save even more with most insurance plans like MetLife and Delta Dental. MyAffordableBraces.com has a clinic near you in Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. Schedule your free consultation, exam, and x-rays today. Easy payment plans and affordable braces. A lifetime of smiles.
Well, I'm going to be ticked about that the rest of the day.
This feature is sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech. This winter, there are new COVID-19 booster shots designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. If it's been at least 2 months since your primary series or original booster, schedule your updated COVID-19 booster dose at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
The forecast for this tax season, it's going to bring refunds, lots of refunds. File for less and get more with Tax Act, where we guarantee your maximum.
You seen the fashion show video going around with the 2 ladies both wearing a dress with the big lion head on it?
Unbelievable.
Is there ever a point where you go, yeah, I know you're paying me millions of dollars to be a model, but no, I'm not wearing that. I'm just not. Now, if you want to show me something awesome, let's see that lion head's eyes start moving while you're walking around.
So much to get to on the NFL. Why I still don't know what to make of Jalen Hurts. One player in the NFL reminds me of a legend of yesteryear. If you could pick only one quarterback for a playoff run, who would get your pick?
Wow, that was all NFL. I didn't think they did that.
Stepping on my territory.
I know. I'd like to think of it as our territory, but, you know, when it's convenient for you, that's fine.
All right. Let's get some of your reaction to the Jaden Rashada story out of the University of Florida. All right. Texter says $13 million instead of going to the NFL. Parents are going to try to encourage their kids just to work for an NIL deal. You know, here's the thing that I find most interesting about this. I'll pair it with a couple of other thoughts and texts that have come in. My man Hudson, pop it in on the live stream, facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or search and subscribe, The Rob Brown Show on Twitch and YouTube. Hudson says the fact that universities are even entertaining the idea of children being paid more than professionals is absurd. The whole point of this, Hudson, is that it's not the university doing this. These collectives are made up of private citizens, fans, dudes and dudettes.
Supposedly.
Right?
Supposedly.
They're not supposedly. That's what they are made out of.
No, that's what they're.
You can join a collective right now. Now,
if I can join the collective, can a president of the university join the collective?
Not according to the rules in place.
Okay. So maybe there's just a silent partner, you know, underneath.
Hey,
you don't have to put their name on it or anything.
If you have the evidence to bring forward to prove that this is happening, you will shock a university to its core. I welcome it. Lonzo, if
you don't have the evidence that it's not happening.
That's not how it works.
Sure it is.
No. If you here, let me give a little quick 1-minute lecture on how journalism works, how debate works, how logic works.
While he's about to do this, I'm going to showcase haughtiness. And there it is.
That's fine. If you make a claim that something is happening, you have to prove that that is happening.
I have heard right here on this very station that all you need is sources, and sources are not proof. So you can't, both ways can't be right.
I am telling you, with no outside influences on this conversation at all, I am telling you that the way that logic works, the way that debate works, the way that making a claim works, is that if you make a positive claim, then you must bring the evidence to support that claim. If you say this is true and you have no evidence to support that claim of truth may be dismissed. It is called Hitchens' razor, after the great writer Christopher Hitchens. That which is presented without evidence may be dismissed without hesitation. Now, there are truth claims that we just accept because it's really not a big deal. Lonzo says, I have a dog. Am I going to take that statement on faith? Yeah. Because first off, a lot of people have dogs. It's not an extraordinary claim. And B, because even if Lonzo's lying about having a dog, it doesn't impact me at all. Not in the least. Now,
in the same token, them lying about saying that the university is participating in it, that doesn't affect you either.
No, it does. As a college football fan, it has an impact on me as a college football fan and my enjoyment of the product, right? So on the flip side, if Lonzo said, I have a lion, would that impact my life? Not really. Is it an extraordinary claim? Yes. Am I curious as to if it's true? Absolutely. So
you've been there. It's a possibility.
It is a possibility.
Yeah, I could have a lion.
If Lonzo's claims to own a lion, then my standard for proof is elevated. And I would say to Lonzo, no, you don't. Prove that.
I am a lion.
And then Lonzo would either produce pictures of him and a lion verifiably at his house. And even then I would say, okay, how do I know this isn't photoshopped, etc. The best thing that Lonzo could do would say, okay, come to my house, check out my lion. And I would go and see a lion and know he's telling the truth, or not see a lion. And he could make up a bunch of reasons why I don't see the lion. But at the end of the day, I don't see a lion. There's no proof of the lion. Therefore, I don't believe the lion is there. Now, keep in mind, as has been mentioned on this show many, many times, there is an ocean of difference between you are lying and I don't believe you, right? I don't believe you is not the same as you are lying.
Yeah, but that means you believe that they're lying.
No, it doesn't.
It does not. If I say I don't believe you, that means I believe you're lying.
I have been to your house, correct?
Yes.
But I've never been in your house.
Right.
So if you said to me,
it's much cleaner on the inside, by the way. Just want to point that out.
If you said to me,
a lot of wind go through there. It was disastrous.
You live in a compound.
Yeah.
If you said to me, there are no doors in my house. There's no doors in my house. Is that an extraordinary claim? Not really. But it is kind of, because every house I've ever been in has doors. I would say I do not believe you. That does not mean that I think you are lying to me.
But it does. This argument, out of all the arguments you've ever had with me and will in the future, is the one I don't get. If I don't believe you, that means I think you're lying.
No, it means I do not have a way to say.
You're making me go Stephon Diggs over here. I want you to know that.
What it means is I do not have a way to know the truth, right? I don't have a way to know the truth. There is no way. There's no way as of right now for me to know if you are telling the truth or not. Therefore, I don't have a belief on it. I do not believe that your house has doors. I do not believe that your house has no doors. I don't believe either of those things because I've got no reason to. On one hand, I have the entire knowledge of my life that says all houses has doors. On the other hand, I have Lonzo living on a compound saying I don't have doors. Either one of those holds weight to me. Right? So I do not believe that you have doors, and I don't believe that you have no doors. The default position is the null position. I don't have any reason to believe that one or the other is correct until I go in your house and see if there's doors or not, right? So I am not taking a position on the truth or falsity of your house has no doors. I do not take the position that it does or that it does not. There's no way for me to know.
You're not going to convince me. If someone says I don't believe you, then they are saying to you that you're a liar.
No, they're not. You're wrong. With all due respect.
I'm not wrong. I'm absolutely not wrong. I mean, go to the text line, go to the streaming. If I say I don't believe you, am I not calling you a liar?
No, I have a quarter in my hand. Do you believe me?
Oh, I thought you were doing that sign of shut up, my show. I'm trying to talk here.
Never. I just reached into my pocket.
We've been working on those signs. It's usually anyway.
I just reached in my pocket and I pulled out a quarter. I have a quarter in my hand. Do you believe me?
I don't care.
Do you believe me?
Did you just tell me you have a
Do-
quarter? Did you just tell me you have a quarter in your
Correct.
hand? You said Rob Brown just said I have a quarter
Correct.
in my hand. I believe Rob Brown because he's my friend, and why would he lie to me?
To make a point, because I'm not above it. The point is, you don't have any reason to believe that I do. Or
It's a
do
matter
not.
of trust. I trust you. If you
I
say
understand that,
if
but
you
we-
say I have a quarter in my hand,
I don't.
you just
I'm bored. I
you
don't
just
have
ruined
quarters.
it when you
Yeah.
scratched your beard
I
and
know, I
nothing
forgot.
fell out.
Forgot. Here, all right.
You didn't even
let's-
try the Andy
all right.
Reid method of
Let's put the philosophical discussion behind us. We can do that on a stream one day because it's very intriguing conversation to me. Okay. If you make a claim like the universities are definitely working hand in hand with the NIL collectives, I don't have a reason to believe that until you give me a reason to believe it. Right. I don't think you're lying, Lonzo. I think you don't know. I think you want that to be true because it's a good argument against NIL.
So you're saying, bless your heart, you're ignorant.
No, I'm saying you're making a statement that you do not know the truth of, right?
I am speculating,
Absolutely.
but this is not the situation of I think you're
Right.
lying.
You're not-
Because if I don't believe you, I think you're lying. As far as this goes, they're
I
not.
know you're speculating, right?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
absolutely speculating, but but it's I believe in educated speculation from past experiences and what we've seen and how
Sure.
these things work.
But you are still speculating. You do not know what you are saying to be true. You think that it is possibly, maybe even probably true, but you don't know, and therefore I
I
can't.
thought we
either.
were going away from the philosophy.
Point is to circle back around to the beginning. As of right now, my belief is that if the universities are intelligent, they are not involved with their NIL collectives.
We are talking about Florida, though.
Fair enough. I hope that the university athletic departments and the universities themselves are not dumb enough to be the first school that gets caught working hand in hand with the collective, because I assume there would be some consequences to that, right? So when you get mad about an NIL collective, if I get mad about an NIL collective offering $13 million, that's not, oh, the university is doing this. That is, I can, and this is very fair to say, because I, for one, I do fall in line with this. I find it ridiculoso that somebody would take $1 million of their own dollars and give it to a 17-year-old child so that they would play football for their favorite football team.
What's even more ridiculous is them saying they're going to do it and then not doing it.
Sure is.
Because that is you're baiting someone
Yep.
into getting into what you believe is a contract they can't get out of.
And that is a boat move. All right? It's a boat move. Now, I think it is ridiculous. I think it is ridiculous that someone would give a child $1 million to play for my favorite team. Yay! That's crazy. But I also don't have multi-millions of dollars laying around. Now, if somebody said to me, hey, Rob, if you give me $20, a 5-star quarterback will play for your college team. $20 ain't that much to me. It's not a big deal. It's not going to break the bank, right? I can give $20 if it guarantees me a 5-star quarterback. Hell yeah, I'm in.
$20 kind of steep for me, but we're on different levels.
Right. I'm obviously big time talent, and that's where that comes from, right? So to a guy with $700 million in the bank, $1 million ain't that much. To somebody who brings in $250,000 a day in interest, $1 million ain't all that much. And if you get 6 other guys, now you got $7 million, which is an insane amount of money to someone like me and Hudson and Lonzo and Joey B and Trey. But it ain't that much to somebody with $700 million, right? And these kids provide a talent, a skill set that very few do, which makes that talent in high demand. That's why there's $13 million getting shipped over. But it is also an investment that comes with the risk of that investment backfiring. Do you think, as this texter just said, I bet Bojangles wishes it never paid DJ? Well, I don't know. I don't know how many people were influenced by the advertisements of DJ Uyunglele during his 2 years at Clemson on campus going, I love me some Boj.
I guarantee you that you're catering to a fan base like Clemson or any other ones, and immediately they go, okay, the guy on my team likes this product, so
do
I
I.
like this
Exactly.
product.
If they gave DJ Uiagalelei $1 million and then DJ helped grow their revenue by $1.1 million, they profited.
If
They made more money.
If DJ was on a Dr. Pepper commercial and he stunk it up during the season, which, by the way, I want to point out, he never did. He never did. He was never as bad as you guys thought he was. I'm still buying Dr. Pepper because it's the nectar of the gods.
Sure. But if I'm a vanilla Coke guy, which has grown on me tremendously, by the way, if I'm a vanilla Coke guy and my favorite quarterback says, hey, drink Dr. Pepper, I might buy some Dr. Pepper just to support them supporting my guy, right? Blah, blah, blah. All that aside. Hudson says it's a direct reflection on the university, involved directly or not. It's absolutely a reflection on the fans, and the fans are absolutely a reflection on the university. I will not argue with that, and that's why the Florida jokes are hot and heavy right now. And they should be, because LOL. But, again, you are saying it is ridiculous to pay a 5-star quarterback, of which there are, I think, 4 or 5 of them in the 2024 class. Nationwide, there's 4 or 5 kids that earn a composite 5-star rating across consensus across the board. If your school wants one of them and your fans are willing to fork over $9 million, the value of a 5-star quarterback is $9 million. You come up with it or you don't. I don't see the problem here, right? It is what it is. All right, let's take a break. There's a few more thoughts. I'll read those texts before we get to Twitter. I may even skip Twitter because there's a couple of really good thoughts that are coming in, and I will address those when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
So Paige Van Zant tweeted, is it still skinny dipping if you got a little thick? That's why I started laughing. And we're back.
To schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Greenville area attorneys, 55 Beatty Place, Suite 900, Greenville, South Carolina, 29601. Joseph Kuno, licensed in Missouri
And another quarterback's Dr. Pepper commercial was better. So,
Prices. Brother.
What are you doing in my room?
Brother.
It was so creepy and great. He calls me mom. He came up with dad for me. Tuesday's gone with the wind.
My baby is gone with the wind. Down, wow, wow. Down, wow, wow.
Do you love when someone puts a song in your head and it'll be there all day? Thanks, Steven. It's worse for me because all I know is that line from the song. I don't know, maybe if I was listening to the song, I'd remember more of it, but right now it's just it. In a loop. I wish Tuesday was gone with the wind or whatever.
Just in general.
But our day really is just getting started. So, I mean, you know. Just because the show's over doesn't mean work is.
So I kind of hate Twitter's new format with the For You versus following tabs. Like, I'm obviously following the people I want to see what they have to say. If you want to put a For You tab, that's fine, but it shouldn't be the default. Don't guess what I want to read. I literally have already told you what I want to read. During the break, Zoe just randomly started singing Leonard Skinner.
I didn't know. Someone posted it.
Doesn't matter.
That's why I did it.
You started singing.
And Leonard Skinner is not country, Kevin. It's Southern rock.
Southern rock, which is just electric country. Boogie, woogie, woogie. All right, let me get some final thoughts in here from you guys. Texter says, I can see, this is from Luke, I can see the situation showing as NIL is a failure for college football, but it can make other college sports more popular. I don't know. We'll see. Listen, one of the highest NIL payouts right now is to a gymnast at LSU. Olivia Dunn, I think is her name. And she's making multi-million dollars because of NIL, because she built a remarkably powerful brand on social media. And companies are paying her to get their product on her social media channel to her millions of followers and viewers, right? So it basically comes down to, can you build a brand off of your athletic success that corporations want to be a part of, or are you so athletically gifted that fans of your school are willing to come out of pocket to have you put on their favorite helmet? That's the question mark. And it's very, very interesting watching this particular situation play out. Text says, it is what it is, all in an effort to solve the massive problem of the workers are complaining. Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it, right? But football players, and this is a philosophical difference, Texter. The ones who are playing football are the ones you are tuning in to watch, right? If your favorite team, if South Carolina and Clemson played tomorrow, and there were no fans, and it was played in a cow field somewhere, you want to make a home field advantage for Clemson joke there, Lonzo? I'll put it on the table for you.
You just did.
Oh, okay. If it was being played in a cow field somewhere, you would still tune in to watch, right? You would not tune in to watch if all the players said, I ain't playing, and the football game was the athletic departments versus the university administrations. You wouldn't watch that game because you don't care. The XFL and USFL are going to fight to survive because they have an inferior product. And we all know it. Right? So, yeah, the workers are complaining. But when for the entirety of this business, almost all of the profits have gone to those who host the sport, but not those who, put their bodies on the line to play it. Yeah, they're upset. And a lot of fans are going to side with the players. You might not, and that's okay. But a lot of fans, myself included, are. That's where this comes from. But again, specifically you, Texter, because I know who this is. But as a whole, if we live in a country where you believe that you are free to use your talents and resources to make a living as you see fit, and that people are allowed to have the right to spend their money how they see fit, what's your hang up here? Your only hang up is you don't like how it impacts you, right? The players are utilizing their talent to make money freely and without violation of the law. Private citizens, in the case of collectives and corporations, who are free to use their money as they see fit, have decided that they see fit to spend their money, giving it to these people with a skill set that they get a benefit from them showing up and wearing their colors, even if it's only 3 hours, 12 times a year on a Saturday. What's your hang up here? That's my question. Texter says Tab soft drink is looking for an NIL deal. I like Tab. Tab's not bad. You just don't really find it everywhere,
I didn't even know they still make
Yeah,
it. Are you
Tab
sure
still
they
exists.
still? Are you sure?
As far as I know, they still exist. Maybe that's why I don't see it anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. All right. We'll get back to this tomorrow. Texas said if this was the real world, NIL deals would have non-compete clauses and prevent transfers to rivals, but it isn't. Again, if you want the NCAA to enact more vigorous restrictions, feel free to tell them that. But that ain't on the players and that ain't on the corporate entities or the public citizens to do. It's on the NCAA. And then they'll get the lawsuits to challenge that, right? But until they do, it is what it is. Let's take a break for 21 hours. We'll come back tomorrow and do it again and even better. That's Lonzo. I'm Rob. Thanks for listening. You're amazing people. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, dudes and dudettes, thanks for singing Leonard Skinner with Lonzo. Big Leonard Skinner fan. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.